Hey guys, thanks for stopping by. I'm super excited for this video. I've just got this package off KingKong and it's got this quadcopter in it, and they sent me the tiny G7 as well, along with some spare motors and batteries and props and stuff. So awesome guys over at KingKong. Thank you so much for this. Before we get started, I want to quickly say I'm doing a giveaway on my Patreon of this. You only have to pledge $1 to get entered into the giveaway, and then you can unsubscribe obviously whenever you want. So this is going to be giving away. I did a review of this a couple of days ago. Go ahead, check out my Patreon if you want to get entered into this giveaway. I'll be doing a lot more giveaways on there of some really cool stuff, sort of giving away everything from props all the way up to full racing drones on there, and you only have to pledge $1. If you'd like, you can pledge $5 and get a battery strap that I've got custom built that says Quadratic on it, and obviously you'll get entry to all the giveaways as well. And if you're really generous and you want to pledge $10, then that'll give you access to the giveaways, a couple of battery straps which are custom made, and also entry into this thing that I'm going to try out, where I send you guys basically either quads that I don't have time to review, or quads that I don't need anymore, or anything like that. Racing quad parts, motors, ESCs, all that sort of stuff. So whatever I've got surplus or what I've got going spare from my reviews, I'll be sending that out to you guys. So if you want to pledge $10, then go ahead and you'll be entered into those when I give them away. But anyway, let's get on to the review. This is the KingKong Tiny 6, and you'll see it looks great in there, and it definitely is very tiny. This is actually the advanced combo, which I think I've only seen it on one website so far, and the price on there is $80. You'll see it's very small, smaller than most whoops. This is actually 65mm across here, so it's 10mm smaller than the tiny 7. This is the tiny 6, like I mentioned earlier. So you'll see in the package we've got this nice hard plastic case, which we can fit everything in. It's quite good. We've got the drone itself. You'll be able to see we've got 5 batteries in here. I'll come to the specifications of the batteries in a minute. We've also got what I think is a really nice touch, 3 different body types. We've got pink, red and white to attach on here, sort of the hood for the body, and also we've got corresponding spare props for each of those colours as well. So I think that's a really nice addition, because you know sometimes you do want to have the top on there and you don't want it to get cracked, and eventually it does. So I think that's a really nice thing for them to include. The final thing in here, and what I think is a really nice touch, is this 5-way charger. So this can be powered by USB on the end here, or through an XT60 plug. If you take a look there at the top, you can see that this will actually take 2 to 6S, so you can charge it. You'll probably have maybe a 4 or 5S battery spare lying around, so you can just go ahead and charge it with that. On here you'll see we've got the 5 charging ports. There's actually an LED here that comes up. You can see it's got LED written on here, and so when that's red it's charging, and when it's off it means it's fully charged. And like I said, you can also charge it through USB at the end here, so you've got a choice of either XT60 plug or USB, which I think is a nice choice. So you can charge the 250 milliamp hour batteries on this through the small connector, and this larger connector here is actually for the batteries that come with the tiny 7. So I imagine you'll probably get sent the same thing if you order the advanced combo of that, but it's nice that it can do both batteries in one go. Taking a look at the batteries, we've got these GN3 Flight Power Lipos. They're 250 milliamp hours and rated at 30C with a 60C burst on there. And yeah, they're pretty standard, I'd say. You might want to get your own brand ones, because I know people with their tiny whoops especially have good batteries, such as my Lipo DE and things like that. But I've not tried these out before, so we'll go ahead and test these. Should be pretty standard, I'd expect, at 250 milliamp hours and 30C. So don't expect anything amazing out of these batteries, but we've got 5 of them, which is a really nice touch, and they're very small and easy to charge because of this, and obviously they're going to fit quite nicely in here and provide a nice amount of power. Taking a closer look at the quad itself, you'll see it's got the standard tiny whoop layout with ducted fans, and these can simply be popped off when you want to change them, these propellers on here. Taking a look onto the bottom, you'll see we've got the motor attachments, and you can notice these are simply plug and play, so there's no soldering of small wires on there when you blow a motor. You can simply buy a new one and plug it straight into there. These motors are brushed, so you're not going to get as much of a sort of amazing wow factor as I've got from things like the KingKong 90 GT, which I made a review of, which has some brushless motors, which is absolutely amazing. But hopefully these should still provide quite a lot of power and be good for such a small quad. Again, on the bottom you'll see we've got here our USB port, so we can plug this in, and I think it comes flashed with Clean Flight, so we can go ahead and plug it in there and change all our PIDs, change all the settings, and do everything we want. So this is really customizable and really nice to have on such a small drone like this. Flipping it over, you'll see we've got the camera on the front at this fixed angle that a lot of whoops have come to take, and it's a 800 TVL camera with a 150-degree field of view coming out this way. So that should give us a nice wide range of view, and also the 800 TVL should give us a pretty clear image as well. It's not the highest rated I've ever seen, but on a whoop and something this size, it's sort of quite good, and probably just above standard. So we can go ahead and unscrew from those two screws there the body, and you'll see the top plate has this little indent here for the camera to slot into, so that holds it in quite nicely, but you can just pop that out when you want to change the hood on here. Taking a look inside, you'll see we've got the little AC800. I think that's actually glued down, so I won't bother pulling it up. This is the little receiver for my Taranis. You can also get the Futaba, the FR Sky. Obviously, this is the Fly Sky or the DSM2 receivers, and those will all come available. Or I think you can also choose to get it simply by itself, and then put your own receiver in there. The FC is actually mounted on these little rubberized little washers on either side of this plastic body, which I think is quite a nice touch, just to stabilize it a little bit. I've not seen that in any other tiny whoops that I've flown, but I think that's quite a nice addition onto there as well. We've also got the boot pins here for the FC. A quick note, if you haven't used the AC800 before, you don't actually have a boot pin on this. You simply just turn your controller on and then bind, and then turn the power on this, and it should automatically bind. So if any of you getting stuck trying to find a bind button on this, it doesn't have one. Taking a look at the FC, you'll see we've got this wire poking out of it, and we don't seem to have anything else other than that. There's no ESCs, there's no video transmitter, and that's actually because it's all built into the micro F3 flight controller, which I think is really awesome. It's sort of got a 4-in-1 ESC built into here. It's got the video transmitter built into here, which is this copper wire here that you'll see poking out. So that'll transmit the camera image. It's got obviously the flight controller in there as well. So it's a really nice tiny little board with a lot of features packed in on there. It's 25 milliwatts, the video transmission, so it's not as amazing as some of you people across the pond are using with your 6 or even 800 milliwatts, but it'll do, especially for a tiny whoop and especially for being indoors. That'll do nicely, that 25 milliwatts. You'll see we've got the antenna for that poking out. We've also got the antenna for the transmitter, for the receiver, sorry, poking out, and you'll see we've also got the battery straps. This all tucks nicely under here, and you'll see here we've got a little indent here, so we can actually tuck the battery straps in there, and then everything will be pointing out towards the back, so there shouldn't be any risk of anything going into the ducted fans and getting hit by the propellers. So that's quite a nice design, sort of shielding itself. It's all very compact and it's just really nice. I think it's quite good. So obviously it's sort of the standard tiny whoop build. There's nothing completely innovative here on KingKong's part, apart from their choice of obviously parts and motors and that integrated FC, ESC, VTX board, which I think is a nice touch. So let's go ahead, I'll put it back together, I'll whack a battery in, and we'll go ahead and fly this around, probably indoors and outdoors, give it a little test and see what the image is like and how it flies. So this is some flight footage I took earlier today, and you'll see the two ducted fans at the bottom right and left hand side are pretty much central to the image, but once I get this ghost tree knocking me out, then the left one comes completely into view and the right one disappears, and this is because I actually lost one of the screws that houses the body, and because the body is holding the camera in place, it actually moved the camera. So this is a bit of a problem, and unfortunately it didn't come with any spare screws. I don't know whether they'll change that by the time that they release it officially. I have contacted KingKong to tell them to put in a couple of spare screws, but I decided to take the body off anyway and just attach the camera with a bit of blue tack. I guess you could use either hot glue or something else like that if you want to put it on more permanently, and this is a lot better. I think you can sort of angle the camera image however you want, and it can sort of force you to fly that little bit faster if you've got more of a tilted camera. So this is some footage I've taken of me flying around indoors, and it's incredibly agile and very nice to handle. This is with the stock PIDs, and they're all quite good. The acro mode on this is good as well, very responsive and quite fast. It's got horizon, angle and acro mode as you'd expect, and they all work pretty great with the stock PIDs, though I'd probably suggest changing the rates a little bit to make it a little bit faster. This is generally a pretty good drone. I'm really impressed with it. It's definitely quite nice and small. It means you can get around the house really easily, even easier than some of the tiny whoops, because this is only 65mm, so it's even smaller than ones that we're already used to at the moment. It does feel like it's lacking a tiny bit, I guess, with only a 1S battery and brushed motors. After doing something like the KingKong 90 GT, this does feel like it's lacking a little bit of power. But if this is one of your first couple of quads, and if you just want it around the house or in the garden, then I would definitely suggest this, as it is really good. It's got a nice range, and I'm actually been surprised with these batteries. They've been lasting about 4 or 5 minutes each one, with pretty intensive flying, so that's actually quite good. And so that's actually quite good news, because these batteries are pretty decent, and you get 5 of them if you get the advanced combo. Anyway, thank you to KingKong for sending me this. Thank you for you guys for watching it. I hope you enjoyed this and found it informative. If you've got any questions, leave it in the comments. I'll be reviewing the Tiny 7 next, probably in a couple of days, and maybe doing a couple of different outdoor tests on both of these and see how they handle.